black thing go from left to right, and I thought, I'm going to die out here. No one's ever going to know.
And I couldn't believe what my eyeballs were showing me. I'll never forget how evil the eyes were. It was horrible. I mean, I've never seen nothing that evil.
It ran towards me at a rate that I can't even explain. Turned and stared at me, and this look of, I just want to kill you. I want to say it was human, but it wasn't.
He was yelling at me to grab a gun. I was like, for what? He said, just grab a gun. And there's footprints all the way to the door of my house. It had went inside my garage all the way to the door.
911, what are you reporting?
Jesus Christ, you better...
Sure.
See ya!
Hello?
Get somebody out here.
What's going on now, sir?
That son of a bitch is about 6'9", I don't know.
Do you see him now, sir?
Yes, I'm looking right at him.
Uh-oh.
You're listening to Sasquatch Chronicles. Check us out online at sasquatchchronicles.com. If you've had an encounter, email me. My email address is wes@sasquatchchronicles.com. Welcome to the show, everyone. Thanks for being here tonight. Got a great show planned for you tonight. Friday night. Gosh, how's everyone's week been? I know we got this windstorm coming through here in Washington State, and the wind's blowing so hard. My lights have been flickering, so hopefully I get through tonight's show, okay tonight. But wherever you're at, wherever you're listening, thank you so much for being here. Got an interesting show for you tonight. You're going to be speaking to Adam, who was out hunting, and he saw this creature off in the distance after some guys had come in and done a donut in the field next to him when he was out bow hunting. And he took out his binoculars, took a look, and it's interesting. I know Adam, he's got a that's one of the reasons why I want to keep it kind of a member show. He's actually running for politics, and he's in politics now, and so I know he wants to keep his identity kind of secret, but he had an interesting encounter out there in Ohio when he was hunting and seeing this creature. So he'll be coming up here shortly. I'll also be inviting Stephen and his aunt Helen to the show. And they had a fascinating encounter. I was torn on whether to bring them on the air or not to share the encounter because it was such an odd encounter. But I was convinced after talking to them last night, the night before, whatever they experienced something. And whether it's Sasquatch and infrasound, I posted a blog today to sasquatchchronicles.com talking about tigers and how they use infrasound to paralyze their prey. And if you get a chance, go back and listen to that, and then listen to Stephen and his aunt talk about this encounter. And was it a Sasquatch with infrasound, or was it something more sinister? It's really hard to place, and I'll let you guys be the judge of it. But I want to thank them again for coming on. They really didn't want to come on the show, but I asked them if they would come on and share it. A very, very strange encounter. If you've had an encounter and you'd like to be on the show, shoot me an email. My email address is wes@sasquatchchronicles.com. Let's jump into it tonight. I want to welcome Adam to the show. Adam, thanks for coming on.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, thanks for being here. And I appreciate you taking the time out to share your encounter. If you would, for the audience, tell us what you were out doing, and then just walk us into what you saw, what you experienced, because it's I hear this type of encounter a lot, especially from hunters. So I'll let you take it away. If you would, kind of tell the audience what you were out doing and what you experienced.
Okay, no problem. It was early September, mid to late September. It was the early bow season for Ohio, and was up there. I'm from Kentucky, and we went up there for the week, taking off work to go up there for the bow season. And we were hunting white-tailed deer, and the area that I picked out was overlooking two cut bean fields, which means the beans had already been harvested off of them, and what was left from the harvest was laying on the ground, and usually really attracted deer. I had already been there earlier in the day and brushed in my blind, which I mean, by that I mean I covered it up with, trees and stuff so you couldn't really see it. So the deer wouldn't just be like, oh, what's that? That's new. So I had that in there, and I came back later in the evening to hunt it. I'd been there for about 2 or 3 hours, and I hadn't had any activity, which was really, really weird for that area. I was sitting there kind of getting discouraged, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, 2 young boys pull up in a pickup truck to the field on my right, and they spin it, we call it a donut, just spin a big circle in the middle of the field and take off and leave, just out of nowhere that fast. And so that really, really perturbed me. And I was sitting there, kind of frustrated about that. And all of a sudden I caught movement out of my corner of my left eye. And I looked over to the field to my left. And that's when I saw, I guess I'd call it a creature, come from the opposite wood line. It stepped out, and I immediately pulled out my rangefinders, and I ranged it at about 500 yards. And I also had binoculars, so then I pulled the binoculars out. And it was clear enough to see that it was definitely, with 500 yards with no aids or anything, you could see that it was walking bipedally on 2 legs. And so that gave me pause. Immediately I thought, well, why is this person out here in this wildlife? So I pulled up the binoculars, and that's when I realized, hey, that's not a person. It's way, way too tall. So I watched the thing. It probably traversed 200 yards, going from, I guess it would be from east to west, walking along a tree line, and then it slowly made its way down into a drainage ditch out of sight. At that point, I packed up my stuff, went to the truck. I wasn't exactly sure what I saw, but I knew that it wasn't a person, and it wasn't something that was supposed to be in that area.
What color was the creature, and can you describe a little bit of details that you saw, if you saw any?
I saw the colors would have been like a light brown to a reddish. It wasn't really a highlight. It was more like the colors kind of melted together and kind of flowed out together. You saw a lot of hair hanging from like where the elbows would be, or shaggy hair kind of off the knees. And the build of the creature was real thin. It wasn't like what you would see from the Patterson-Gimlin footage, the big stocky creature. It was just real tall and slim, almost maybe emaciated, but it didn't really look unhealthy. Just very thin and very, very tall. I would say somewhere between 8 to 9.5 feet, somewhere in that range. Maybe even taller than that. I didn't really have anything to do go back and do a size comparison off of.
Yeah, was there anything about the hair that you noticed beyond you said it was longer in the arms and around the knees?
Yeah, it was longer in some areas, and it was kind of what I would say almost patchy. You would see areas, where it was a little bit darker, but not near as long and flowy. Kind of thin, almost like a coat, kind of. I don't know, I wouldn't really want to say like a dog, but just not very long and patchy. And anywhere where it was of the shorter length, it was a darker color, almost I don't know, a darkish brown into the reddish side.
Yeah, and a lot of people report that. They'll talk about it being kind of a skinnier creature, but taller, unlike the Patterson-Gimlin film, which seems to be kind of a larger, bulkier creature. I have had reports of them being kind of skinnier and taller, kind of like a basketball player in many areas. How quickly did it move those 200 yards? You said when it came out.
That's what really struck me, was the fluidity of the motion. I mean, it just kind of, the head never raised and lowered. The head always stayed at one constant level. And I'd say I don't know exactly how fast it traversed that, but it was way faster than I could have. The whole sighting probably didn't last, a minute and a half to 2 minutes. I mean, it was just really quick, and no noise, no yells, screams. And it also struck me funny that, like, the creature never did, you always hear them talking about how it would look over its shoulder or it was looking side to side. The creature kept its head straight in front of it, and it never took its eyes off the course that it was going. I mean, just straight, beeline, never looked around, never looked behind itself, never looked out to see if there was anything, in the surroundings. It was like it had a goal.